So now that we have our barricade up and everything is working pretty much how we want, I want to go ahead and move on to the UI portion. Now, the reason being, I'm going to go ahead and get this set up to where we kind of have covered some key aspects of the gameplay ability system, which we have with the interaction ability. And I also want to cover some of the view model. So I want to get kind of these in and established so that way moving forward, because we're going to be, like I had mentioned very early on, heavily utilizing the gameplay ability system and the view model system, that we have we just have some familiarity with it. So what we want to do is take this interaction message and actually have it be a prompt on screen. So rather than, it being printed a log, it would print somewhere in the center of our screen and be updated entirely through the view model. So the first thing that we need to do is go ahead and actually create the UI portion. So in our core folder, we're going to make another subfolder called UI. And inside of here, we're going to go ahead and work on, I'd say probably just our main widgets. So we can go ahead and create a user interface. We'll do a widget blueprint of type user widget, and we'll name it WBP underscore interaction message. Now, in conjunction with this, we are also going to want to go ahead and have a main widget that we can throw this widget inside of. So we're going to go ahead and just duplicate, and we'll just name it, let's do HUD. So widget blueprint HUD. So let's go ahead and open both of these on up, and we can close out of this for now, because I'll show you how to open those windows here in a bit. So what we want in the interaction message is simply text. We really don't have a need for anything else. So that's what we're going to be working with. But in the meantime, I want to go ahead and change the text to something like press and hold F to buy, I don't know, X cost Y. So something that would represent, roughly what the buy message would be. So with that in mind, let's go to our HUD blueprint, our HUD widget, and we want to go ahead and add a canvas panel. So that's going to be kind of like the board, not the border, but the container for everything else we're going to add inside. So we can then go through and also add our interaction message. So we want to anchor this to the center. And for the alignment, I'm going to do 0.5 and 0.5. That way it's in the dead center of the screen. And then we can go ahead and size the content. So this way it will grow. So as the message changes, such as if I add more additional text, so blah, 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 you can see it will go ahead and grow accordingly. Okay, so now that we have this in place, we want to go ahead and just real quickly go ahead and add it to our pawn. And we're not going to do this the correct way yet, because at some point we're going to go ahead and make an actual HUD class and go through it that way. So for now, in our player pawn, let's just go ahead and go to begin play. We want to go ahead and check is locally controlled. And if this is true, we want to create a widget of the type WBP HUD and add it to the viewport. And that's pretty much it. So compile save. Now when we hit play, we should have that text right along the center like so. So now that we have that, we can actually work on the view model to get this to update using, that view model. So to begin, let's go ahead and we are going to close out of everything else for now. And let's see, where do we want this? We can do this we could do this in the core module. For now, we'll just put it in SKG Zombies. So we'll make a new Unreal class, and the type is going to be model view. I thought it was model view. Search for view model, and my ID has locked up. All right, so that took a minute. So look for view, and it's doing it again. Model, let's see. Okay, that's not it, and it's this. So it's UMV. VVM view model base. So view model, I can't remember what it actually stands for. But anyways, this is the class that we want. And we're going to put it in a new folder called UI, and then a child folder in that called view models. So inside of here, let's go ahead and give this the name of view model underscore, let's see, because this will kind of be for the entire, well, let's see, we don't necessarily need this variable for the entire player. This would be more so a local thing. So let's go ahead and just do interaction message. Worst comes to worst, we can always rename the class, make a new one, join two of them together. It's not a big deal. So let's go ahead and create that class like so. And let's see, we, I think, need to actually include, yes, we do. We need to add the view model as a dependency. So let's go to skg zombies build.cs, and under gameplay tags, we want to add the mvvm, I believe, yes. So we want to add as a dependency model view model, like so. And I'm going to give that a minute to go ahead and grab everything it needs. Okay, so it should have picked it up by now. So if I hover it, we want to include the mvvm view model base.h. So include mvvm view model base.h. I believe that is correct. And yes, it seems to be, because IntelliSense at least picked up on it. So I'm going to go ahead and close out the editor, save everything, and go ahead and just build. That way I can make sure we have everything as needed and ready to go. Okay, so the build was successful. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and just add the interaction property. So we're going to make a public section, and we want a U property, and this is going to be the actual message. Now, I'm not too familiar with localization and how that all works, so for the time being anyways, I'm just going to use I'll just use a F, let's see, yeah, we'll just use an F name. So F name, and this will be the interaction message, and we'll just initialize it to, or sorry, give it the initial value of name none. So that way it's basically just empty. Okay, so a couple of things we want to do. We need this to be a field notify variable. We need to set up a setter, a getter, and once we have those, we need to actually create this view model instance in some way or another. And I'm going to show you a few ways that we can actually go through and do that. But the first things first, we want to go ahead and, well, I'll fill out the U property and kind of explain what all we're doing. So let's go ahead and make this blueprint read only. We want this to be a field notify, and we can give this the category of, let's do view model interaction message. Once we have that, we are also going to want to go ahead and make a setter and a getter. So setter and getter. So that way we can go ahead and make, well, the corresponding setter and getter. So we want to go ahead and add a F name get interaction message. And this will be the getter. So we just simply return the interaction message. Likewise, a setter, so void set interaction message. This is going to take in a, we need to name this something different. So let's do, we'll just call the parameter message. I think that's sufficient. And then in order to actually set it, because we're using a field notify and we want it to basically broadcast the change, we're going to use UE underscore mvvm set property value. So if we hover over this, it will hopefully tell us what it does. There it is. So basically, if the property value has changed, so message is different from the interaction message, it will go ahead and broadcast, or sorry, it will go ahead and set the new value and basically broadcast / notify anything that is bound to it. So we're going to do interaction message and the new value, which is message. And that's pretty much it. So once we have this, let's go ahead and again, go ahead and build, make sure everything is good to go, which it is. So my food just went off, so I got to turn that over. So I will be right back. Okay, so what we have now is kind of a good stopping point, but we're going to go ahead and just quickly configure the UI portion to make use of the view model. So that way, in the next video, we're going to actually go through and create the instance of the view model. And the reason I'm doing that in a separate video is because I kind of want to cover the different ways you can actually create an instance of it. So that's going to be a little bit more involved and just take up a little bit more time than I would like to go through in this video. So anyways, to begin, let's go ahead and head back over to our HUD, or not our HUD widget, our WBP interaction message. And we want to go to Window, View Models. And in my case, it drops down up here. Yours is going to be in a separate window, but I prefer to have mine docked. And we want to add a view model, interaction message, and just go ahead and select it. So once we have that, I'm not sure why it didn't. Oh, here it is. We also want to go ahead and go to Window and add the view bindings, or view the view bindings. So that way we can go ahead and, well, manage this inside of our widget how we want. So what I mean by that is if we go ahead and click on this text, which I will rename to TB for text block underscore interaction message, we want to add a binding to this. So when I say a binding, I mean bind to a property in the view model. So when that notify happens, such as from this line here, it will automatically update the widget. So we're going to add a widget binding to TB interaction message. And what we want to have is we want to modify a specific property. So the property we want is going to be, again, this is a text block. We want the actual text. So this text property here, which is a f text. So select that. And what we're doing is we're modifying the text property of TB interaction message. So whatever is going to be in this result here will get pushed to this text property. So for the value, essentially, or in this case, it's called the source, we want the interaction message. Well, I'm going to show you the wrong way because it's not going to work to begin with. But we're going to go ahead and grab the, where is it? The view model interaction message and interaction message, which again, remember, we made a F name. We're going to select that, compile, and save. And as you can see, it is going to complain. So the source property interaction message, which is part of our view model, F name, which being the type, does not match the type of the destination property, F text. A conversion function is required. So instead of selecting the interaction message directly, we're going to select a conversion function. And we just want to look for text. So what we can look for is toText, which is what we want because we want to convert a F name to text. So now we can look for name. So right here. So toText from name. So we'll select that. And then the actual name that we want to convert to a text, we can bind this argument to a property, which will be our view models interaction message. So it goes the F name interaction message gets converted to text and then assigned to the text property of TB interaction message. So compile, save, no errors, no warnings. We are good to go. So with that out of the way, I will see you in the next video. If you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, you can find a link to my Patreon in the description below, where you can also gain early access to this entire series.